I said yesterday I thought it was going to be much, much closer than the pollsters and the pundits were predicting, but Biden would just manage to squeak in. That's still my analysis. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Well, look, it's very simple what happened last night. In 4 battleground states, crucial states to either candidate, the president was winning. These are states that are run by Democrat governors. And suddenly, only in those 4 battleground states, the powers that be said, okay, we're going to stop counting votes, as if we're in, Kazakhstan or somewhere. The idea that Pennsylvania has to send everybody to bed at 9:30 and you can't count votes is, of course, what banana republics do. And I am assured of the following. I just spoke to the campaign. We had everybody, the chief of the campaign, on the call as well.
Yep.
This is now going to be a battle royale with the lawyers for the president and the lawyers for sleepy, creepy Beijing Biden. And the question is, does the GOP, does the Republican Party have the balls to fight this fight? And will they do it fast enough? Because I guarantee you one thing now, Dan. It's like Stalin said, it's not who gets the most votes, it's who's counting the votes. And the longer this is delayed, the more time they will have to magically find votes for Joe Biden. This is why it has to happen now. This is yesterday, November the 3rd, is election day in America. We don't call it election days. We don't call it election weeks or election months. So right now, the question is, can we maintain the integrity of the ballot counting in these Democrat-run battleground states?
Dr. Gorka, can I just clarify? So you're talking about Pennsylvania, but presumably you're also talking about Wisconsin, Michigan, and Nevada. Are they the 4 states?
I would put Arizona in there. Arizona was the mainstream media, even Fox News, very strangely called Arizona with more than 1 million votes not counted. And they when challenged, I watched, Tucker Carlson challenged his own cable station yesterday and said, hang on, how did you declare Arizona for Biden? And they said, we combined the ballots we know with the exit polls. Hang on a second. You're deciding a presidential election on your interpretation of exit polls. It's a farce. So talking to the campaign, Arizona is also still in play for the president, but it depends how hard his team is prepared to fight.
Well, look, let me just get your reaction to this breaking piece of news about one of those states that we're talking about. We have been told the Wisconsin Elections Commission administrator has told NBC News all of the ballots have been counted and Joe Biden has won Wisconsin by 20,697 votes. Your reaction?
I'd have to see what those 20,000 ballots consisted of. Were they mail-in ballots? Were they absentee ballots? Were they ballots which had been verified and certified against the signatures on the voting rolls? We have some very, very suspicious things happening in the Commonwealth of Virginia, which saw some real upsets for the Democrats. We had the governor recently declare unilaterally that for the first time in American history, you don't have to check the signature on a mail-in ballot against the signature of the voter on the voting rolls. Dan, in what world do you do that? What is the good faith argument for not verifying a signature? If you go and cash a check today, guess what the bank has to do with your signature? They have to verify. But in the most sacred act of a representative republic, when you are voting for the next commander-in-chief, we don't have to check signatures. So I want to see those 20,000 ballots from Wisconsin, and I want to make sure they're verified.
So Dr. Gorka, is your belief that the Trump campaign's legal strategy will be that the postal ballots are simply illegitimate?
No, not in a blanket statement. To quote the campaign, it's very simple. Every vote that was done legally on election day matters, whether it's for Joe Biden, the president, or whether you wrote in Mickey Mouse. Those votes should be counted and tallied. Our issue is with votes that did not occur on election day and are being post hoc post the event being added to the collected votes for Biden. Those are illegal and those have to be stopped. It's election day, not election days.
Okay, now let's just talk generally, because regardless of the eventual result, Dr. Gorka, what we can say is that last night's election represented another spectacular fail for the liberal media, for the pollsters, for the political class, for the pundits who never seem to learn the lesson of 2016, of Brexit, of Boris Johnson's landslide in December. Why do the political classes continue to fail to understand what real people, whether it's in America or Britain, actually feel?
Dan, it's not a failure of intent. It's a conscious decision. You're absolutely right. Brexit started it all, whether it's Brexit, whether it's Bojo, whether it's Trump, whether it's Modi in India. The mainstream media and the pollsters aren't acting in good faith. They have an agenda. What were we told for months? We were told that Joe Biden, sleepy, creepy Biden, is going to have a tsunami, and by 10 p.m., the whole of America will be awash with Democrat victories. It didn't happen. And look at what happened with the ethnic vote in America, especially in Florida and Arizona. Hispanics, blacks voting in unheard of percentages for a Republican candidate, the incumbent in the White House. Why did we have these failures? Because they weren't failures. These weren't polls. These were demobilizations. These were suppression polls. They were acting as political activists, not neutral observers, just as the BBC and the UK, and just as the mainstream media is in the UK, with, of course, exception to talk radio.
Obviously. It was also a repudiation, wasn't it, of racial identity politics and the violence caused on the streets by Antifa and other far-left extremist groups.
Absolutely. And to see, it breaks my heart. I'm an immigrant to this nation. I'm a naturalized citizen who ended up in the White House, and I'm blessed. But to see yesterday, downtown Washington, the capital of the most powerful nation in the world, boarded up as if it's Beirut, with all the shops, with the hotels boarded up, to see 3 people stabbed by Biden supporters last night in downtown DC. How did we get here? That we can't have a peaceful choice of our elected officials in the United States? It's a travesty. And I tell you, only one party has normalized violence, and it's not the Republicans. The people who are burning down and looting Seattle and Portland aren't red MAGA hat wearing Trump voters. They are Biden supporters, and it is a travesty.
Dr. Gorka, I know this may be unconscionable for you at the moment, given that you still think that there is a path to victory for Donald Trump. But let's just assume he does narrowly lose the White House. What does he do next? There's been talk of him setting up a media empire. There's also been talk of him running again in 2024. You know the man well. What do you predict? If, let's just assume for 1 second, what does he do assuming he does lose the White House?
I'll just say who this man is. He's a man who never backs down. He is the man who wrote The Art of the Deal. He is the ultimate closer. So I'm not going to say anything about him losing, because until we have the votes from those battleground states certified as legitimate, nobody knows who the winner is. All I know, and I'll repeat again, this is what your listeners and viewers have to take home today. 4 Democrat-controlled states had the president leading yesterday until those Democrat states decided to stop counting ballots. That's what we have to fix.
So this goes to the Supreme Court then?
It has to be fast. Maybe all the way to the Supreme Court. Now we have a majority of constitutionalists in there. God bless Amy Coney Barrett, that incredibly impressive woman who was just appointed to the Supreme Court. I don't know if it goes that far. It might, as it did in the year 2000 between Gore and Bush, but it's got to be fast, because the longer we wait, the more time they have to try and steal this election, not from the president, but from the American people, Dan.